Welcome to an exciting Metaversity today, where we talk about all things blockchain and metaverse. This is Chris and Kristen, and we'll explore this new world together. So today we get to interview Vasily from Velvet.Capital. He was super gracious to come on our show today and talk to us a little bit about what they have going on over there, and also some of the exciting things that they have done over the last few weeks. They were out at ETCC over in Paris, and they recently got invited to be a part of the Binance Labs Incubator team. So pretty exciting to talk about all that stuff. And we will actually, after this intro, kind of show you a little bit of that interview. Thank you for joining, Vasily. This is Metaversity, and we try to do everything in the metaverse and talk a lot about blockchain, and that ranges from everything cryptocurrency all the way to the actual metaverse, whether you're talking VR, AR, and that kind of technology. So it's pretty broad spectrum. Wanted to have you on. We have not actually talked a lot about cryptocurrency on the show as to date, mostly because there's a lot of groups out there that are talking about it from kind of like an investment standpoint, and they do really great job. But you guys actually offer a product to help people out with cryptocurrency, and that's more in line with what we want to talk about, and the folks that are, I think, listening to our show and that kind of thing. So that's why we wanted to have you on. We found you online, and here you are.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks for having me. Great to be here. Thank you for inviting. Yeah, happy to talk a bit more about what we're building, or let me know if you have any specific questions you want me to cover.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I think it's been kind of an exciting week or a few weeks for you guys. You've been out to ETCC, and you're part of the
Paris, right?
Yep, out in Paris. And you're part of, or got invited to the Binance Labs incubation program. Do you want to start out with a little bit of that? How was ETCC?
Oh yeah, it was great. I think one of the best conferences I've had, I think, in the last 3 years, at least, given all the COVID restrictions, etc. Yeah, lots of energy, lots of builders, lots of investors. I think now that we're kind of a bit in the bear market, or whatever you want to call it, right? Now it's much less noise, right? So the kind of signal to noise ratio is much higher. There are much less hype, much fewer people who come there just to just because of hype, and they want to discuss the price of the Bitcoin, right? Much more genuine builders, genuine people building the infrastructure or investing in the space. I think that was great. And yeah, very intense, a lot, very intense too, right? Got a lot of sessions from from the morning until late night, right? So every day is packed.
Yeah, so I would imagine for kind of like with what you're saying there, with it being kind of a bear market and less people there, it's actually probably a great opportunity for someone like you to make it easier to be seen as a serious developer of an application, I would imagine.
Yeah, exactly. We also got invited to speak there as a part of the ETCC track. So we shared what we're building. We talked to a lot of people, secure some potential partnerships as well. There are a couple of projects that are very interested working with us. Talked to a couple of investors. So yeah, it's a pretty successful. And obviously Paris is beautiful, right? So we didn't get a chance to see much of it, but we really enjoyed what we saw there.
Awesome. That's amazing. And then you got invited to be part of the Binance Labs Incubator program. Tell us about that. I mean, what all does that do for you?
Yeah, that's right. It's actually a pretty special program because it kind of combines expertise of Binance Labs, which is the basically venture building and investment vehicle of Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange, with some of the support from the BNB chain, right? And the BNB chain is also a layer 1 blockchain that was kind of spun out of Binance at some point, right? So now they're trying to decentralize development as much as possible. So the BNB chain is becoming community-owned ecosystem. And actually, it's funny that it's not getting too much attention, especially in the West. Maybe it's a geographical phenomenon, but it's actually got, I think, 3 times more users, more like active weekly users than even Ethereum.
Oh, wow.
So it's a pretty big ecosystem. Lots of activity there. Yeah. So the program itself is kind of incubation / acceleration, and they have people from Binance Labs, they have people from BNB Chain, and from Binance itself, kind of share their experience, help with marketing and partnerships, and help secure some partners and investors as well. So yeah, it's a pretty cool one. It's gonna be around 6 to 8 weeks. So we're gonna have a demo day mid-September, and we're gonna showcase all the great stuff that we're building.
Excellent.
That's awesome.
Excellent. So, obviously we had you on here to kind of talk a little bit about your product. A lot of, I think our users are just getting into things. So, this probably sounds like a real basic question, but, if you are new to crypto, you might have a cryptocurrency wallet like Metamask, and you can go out and use that to store your cryptocurrency and that type of thing. What makes a product like yours different from that? Obviously, it's very different. It's an investment tool. But for somebody who's kind of new, what makes your product different from that, obviously, and how's that going to help somebody out?
Yeah. Yes, I mean, that's a really great question, and I just want to draw a parallel with the traditional markets as well. So
Okay.
we see more and more people actually wanting to get exposure to like a broader market, to an index, because not everyone actually has time and wants to put efforts in actually stock picking, choosing what company they want to buy, following all the quarterly calls, all the annual reports, etc. Right? So I think more and more people, if you look at your retirement account, it's all indices, right? It's S&P 500 if you want to bet on the overall American economy, right? There are a few indices that are kind of betting on the global markets, and then there's Nasdaq and a few kind of tech-related indices if you want to bet on like the tech industry overall. So it's a very, very easy, very simple way to invest, because you diversify in your portfolio, so you have a broad exposure to all the different companies, right? And at the same time, like, it doesn't require much effort, right? So you just kind of set and forget, right? You can kind of do sort of like a dollar cost averaging strategy, put in every month some kind of amount. I mean, it's sort of like 401k, sort of kind of like 401k works. Well, right. So I mean, we were kind of looking at the crypto space, and we were realizing that there's not much, there's not many similar options, right? There's not much choice when it comes to crypto, right? And we wanted to bring some of this simplicity to the user. I think, like, as you mentioned, it's especially relevant to people who are new to crypto, right? So they don't necessarily have time to go deep, right? They don't necessarily want to, do the research on their own, try all the different technical tools and, the technical protocols there. But at the same time, I think everyone's recognizing that Web3 is becoming the future of internet. There's more and more use cases over there, so people still want to get exposure to these things. And that's basically where we come in, right? So we help people create index funds. We help people create diversified crypto portfolios, structured products, in the future, any other financial products on chain, right? So imagine if you're new to crypto, you want to bet on the whole market, you just go on our platform, and you can basically in one click invest in let's say top 10 or top 15 cryptocurrencies, right? And they would be automatically rebalanced as well. That's another thing, right? If you look at 2017 and 2020, the top like 20 coins in 2017 are vastly different from what they are today or what they were in 2020, right? I think only 5 or 6 top coins from 2017 remained in the top 20, and then we had new projects, launching, and some of the projects obviously losing traction a bit. So it's very important to also have this automated rebalancing. And again, I'm going to draw the parallel with S&P 500. You have 500 largest US companies, right? And the index basically tracks those. So it's basically like holding a portfolio of 500 different stocks. Very, very simple.
Excellent. Well, show us. Do you have the ability to show us a little bit about your product, or tell us a little bit more? Or
yeah, sure. I can try to show you a demo as well. But before I go there, I'll just share that we basically working on two fronts, right? So one is B2C, and that's a little bit what I mentioned right now. But then we're also working with institutional clients, and that's basically helping already established asset managers, already established funds, use our protocol to manage funds for their clients or manage their own treasuries, right? So imagine if you're an asset manager, a lot of people actually coming up to you and asking you for some crypto exposure, right? So now you have a ready to use infrastructure and almost ready to use products to offer your clients. Awesome. All right, so let me show you a quick demo so that you can actually visualize what I'm talking about here.
I wanted to show a little bit of it because one of the things I was kind of impressed with is the user interface for your product looks very simple. There's a lot of the products that I've seen that are out there or every day, and I've gotten used to them because I use them all the time. But for somebody who's kind of new, are a little intimidating.
Yeah. Well, a bad UI is a barrier to entry, and it's counterproductive to his goal.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we put in a lot of emphasis on the user experience, right? The user interface just to make sure that we can deliver the simplest and the smoothest experience, especially for new users, right? Like if you look at other projects, it's very, very easy to get intimidated by all the different, technical details. Even installing Metamask, right? It's not the easiest.
Right. Well, I think I saw. Do you still have to use MetaMask or something like that to incorporate it with your product? I think I saw that you would soon be able to buy crypto directly through your application.
Yeah. I'll show it in the demo, right? MetaMask is obviously one of the options, right? Because we want to open it up to people who already have MetaMask as well. But if you don't have it, we also integrate it with Magic Link. Magic Link is basically helping to create non-custodial wallets, sort of like MetaMask, right? But just using your email. So you'll receive a link to your email that you can confirm, and you already have a wallet that you can use within our app. But the beauty of it, it's also non-custodial. It's a part of the Web3 ecosystem. So whenever you want, you can actually export your keys from our app and use your wallet at any other place, right? So there's no need to even withdraw the funds. So I think that's we can talk a little bit more about it, but obviously you probably saw all the drama with Celsius and several other centralized apps where they just block user funds, right? So we're not taking custody of funds, so we don't have a centralized custody. It's basically your wallet. So at any point of time, you can basically just take your wallet and go to another app or go to a crypto exchange and sell your funds there, right? So we cannot possibly. It's not technically possible to block your funds on.
Well, that's actually pretty amazing because I think that's sometimes some of the fear that you see is some of these, whether it's a wallet or something else, it feels a little bit more centralized because they're holding on to those keys and not letting people get to their funds, whatever crypto it is. So that's actually pretty amazing.
Yeah. All right. So let me try to share my screen and then see if I can just show you a couple of tricks here.
Oh, cool. So you're up on our.
All right, perfect. So yeah, that's basically our main app, right? So you can see all the different products available. This is just a test environment. So you can see there's a blue chip, which is basically top 5 biggest cryptocurrencies, right? There's a thematic metaverse portfolio, which is just projects working on NFTs, gaming, and so on and so forth, right? There's top 10, which is again top 10 cryptos, and there's also like a very special one, which is Yield by Venus. So what it does, it has a basket of underlying cryptocurrencies, but we also lend each of those cryptocurrencies using Venus protocol, which is sort of a decentralized lending. What it means is that you not only just hold the crypto assets, but you're also earning additional interest on them, because we're lending it to other people. So let me connect a wallet here, and I'll just show you something that I talked about, right? The one thing is you can connect your MetaMask, and that's what I'm going to do there. But you also can just use your email to basically sign up with the Magic Link. And what it will do, it will create you a non-custodial wallet. So I'll just connect the MetaMask here, right? All right, and I mean just going back to the UI UX, everything's very simple. Once you kind of make up your mind, let's say you're more risk averse, so you want to hold only like top 5 crypto assets. You just deposit your funds here. Now, because we build our first version on BNB chain, you can only deposit BNB, but in the future we'll add, USDT, any other currencies. And especially for the new users to crypto, we're also planning to integrate with fiat to crypto gateways so that you can deposit using your bank account, credit card, or some payment system. I think that's another way to kind of streamline the onboarding process, especially folks who are newer to the space. Right. So let's say I want to invest 0.1 BNB, which is around $30 here. Right. And you see there's a gas fee. We need to add a little bit more information on that, but that's basically just the network fee. It doesn't depend on the site. So even if you want to invest like $1 million, right, it's going to be all the same. It's around $1. So that's basically the network fee for using BNB chain.
Okay, amazing. All right.
So let's say I want to deposit it, and usually something goes wrong whenever you show the product. Let's see if it goes now as well. If everything goes smoothly. All right, so I'll just confirm it in my mask.
We both come from the software world, so we totally understand. You do a product demo, and
that's always how it is.
Inevitably,
seems like it's working though.
Yeah. All right. Success. Yeah. So here we go. Right. So I'll explain a little bit more on what happened here. So we just invested around $30, and we got 0.44 blue chip tokens. Right. What it means, again, very similar. I'm going to draw a parallel to traditional finance. Very similar to how you buy an ETF share. That is your kind of blue chip portfolio share. So this 0.44 represents your share in the blue chip portfolio. Right.
Okay.
You can. Yeah, it's a tokenized portfolio, so you can actually add this token to your wallet if you want to, or you can even try to send this token to someone, right, or sell it on the secondary market. That's something else that we'll work on. And what happened in the background there, I'll show. It might be a bit technical for some of the listeners, but just to demonstrate you the mechanics, what's happening under the hood there. We basically took the BNB and we exchanged it into the allocation was just top 5 assets. So we exchanged it into Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, ADA, and we also kept part of BNB because BNB is also in the top 5. And then in exchange we got this. So that's exactly how it works. The same process happens in reverse if you want to withdraw your funds, right? And now the interface is very simple. So you see your value just got updated to around 34, right? Because I just had some funds invested previously, right? So it's very simple right now, but in the future we'll add the charts, we'll add some more information about every portfolio, and basically the user would have this single dashboard to manage all of the assets that they have.
Awesome. What are some near milestones for you as far as your timeline goes?
Yeah, so I think, for us, the biggest milestone right now is to push our V1, which is basically what I showed right now. So as we are part of this Binance Labs program, we're gonna time it with some of the support that they're providing, on the marketing side, and that's basically gonna happen in the next couple of weeks, right? But what we want to do then, we want to do two things. First, expand the product offering, because we're not pretending that we are fund managers ourselves. We want to open this infrastructure for anyone to create their own portfolios, right? So not only you'll be able to invest in some of the simple products that we put together, but you can also create a custom product, right? A custom index fund on our platform. That's one thing, right? Expanding the product offering, allowing other people to construct portfolios, both on the individual side and on the institutional side, right? Some of the asset managers we're talking to, they're really excited about, putting together a new product and then also using our kind of app to get additional users. And then another thing that we're working on, and that's sort of what everyone gets excited about, is the cross-chain component, right? So now we're on BNB chain. You saw there are a lot of assets available, and they already wrapped on the BNB chain. But what we want to do in the future is to kind of create portfolios with elements across different chains. So part of your portfolio could be on BNB chain, earning additional interest, earning additional yield from some of the protocols there. And then part of your portfolio could be on Polygon, earning some of the additional yield there, right? And then you'll be able to kind of dynamically reallocate your assets between chains to make sure that you're always getting the best interest on your portfolio, right? So that's a very especially exciting things for asset managers who do some active DeFi strategies, right? And they want to make sure they have the whole tool set at their disposal. So pick and choose the best ways to allocate their capital.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great. So the next 8 weeks with you is going to be a big learning moment, right? You get to network and learn a lot with your with the program, the incubation program. And then how big is your team?
Yeah, so we have 8 full-time members, and we have 4 more interns as well helping us here and there.
It's a great size team.
I'd say we have a pretty solid foundation to build everything right now.
Yeah, this is pretty exciting stuff. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more of it here.
Yep. So I guess kind of maybe another question. I think you kind of talked around a little bit, but you've got some unique features to your product too, like yield farming. Isn't that something that's kind of unique to your product? You don't see in some of those other programs. Can you tell me a little bit more about how that works and what's unique about that?
Yeah, exactly. I think I mentioned a couple of unique things. The yield farming, right? The cross-chain sort of ability to move assets across chains within your portfolio, within your product. And then third is some of the tooling for asset managers specifically. Not a lot of projects actually focusing on the B2B side. But yeah, just kind of going back to the yield farming, I think that's a pretty cool one. When you have a portfolio of cryptocurrencies, right, you can basically do 2 things, right? It can either sit idle in your wallet, or you can make it work, right? So what happens when you kind of keep your assets on centralized exchanges, on centralized solutions such as Celsius? What Celsius was doing, they were basically taking the user funds and they would try to earn additional yield on them. Not necessarily successful, but that's kind of the business model of many other players. So we are completely giving everything into the hands of users, right? So you can decide yourself what you want to do. If you want, we can allocate assets from your portfolio across lending protocols, staking pools, and basically providing liquidity in the exchanges so that you can earn additional interest, right? So, for example, your Bitcoin can either sit idle in your wallet or in the fund, right? Or you can lend out your Bitcoin into, let's say, Venus protocol, right? That is basically a peer. Think of the lending protocol as a peer-to-peer lending
Okay.
infrastructure on chain, so that it goes into a large pool of bitcoins that I use basically to write loans to other people, right? And then the clients of those lending protocols, they usually put some collateral, so it's always over collateralized. That's why the risk there is kind of much lower than in the traditional lending business models, right? So the loans are always over collateralized, so you need to put $100 worth of Bitcoin to take, let's say, $80 worth of loan. And because they over collateralized and all the assets they're using are liquid, whenever the price of the collateral goes down, they just do forced liquidation. So they sell your collateral to repay the loan, right? That's why for someone who basically supplies the liquidity, supplies the Bitcoin there, the risk is much lower than in traditional models. Not to say that there's no risk. There's always return comes with the risk, right?
Right.
There's a third
Yeah.
party risk. There's a risk of the platform getting hacked. There is a risk of a black swan event with all the assets just going to zero, in 1 second, and the protocol not being able to liquidate all the positions, right? Of course, there are always risks, but what we're doing is making sure that as a user, you always know where the money are, and you make the choice yourself, right? If you want to lend it out for additional interest, we can do it. If you don't want it, we make sure that the assets always stay in your wallet or in your vault, right? And everything is transparent on blockchain, right? You can always log into eScanner or BSC scanner and see where your money are. So that's the beauty of the decentralized model over some of the centralized solutions.
One more, completely off topic. So, what technology in, let's say, blockchain or metaverse, Web3, whatever, are you most looking forward to that's probably in the next 5 years? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, right? Because I've always been working at the intersection of finance and tech, right? So before founding the company, I was a project leader at BCG, helping clients launch corporate ventures, some of the online banking, online insurance portals, etc. So I'm mostly excited about DeFi and some of the opportunities it helps to unlock. I think one of the things everyone talked about, I think since I can remember, blockchain is actually getting some of the real assets on chain, right? So imagine you can buy a fraction of a bottle of vintage wine, right, or a fraction of Picasso painting, right, and create some liquidity for it. Maybe in the future, Velvet.Capital could add some of the products on our platform, right? So instead of portfolio of cryptocurrency, you can have a portfolio of paintings of like top 10 artists in the world, right? And you can own a fraction of this kind of real assets. So I think, unfortunately, we haven't seen a lot of traction there yet. I think one of the reasons is because it requires much more, I should say, clarity from the regulators, right? So that your kind of ownership of token equals your legal rights to the real assets. So that's whenever there's kind of integration between the real world and then the blockchain, there's always regulation and some of the legal complexities coming into play. But I'm very hopeful. I think on the 5-year horizon, that's definitely something.
Awesome. I totally love that, because we've actually talked about that exact thing a couple times. And it'd be pretty nifty to be able to say, I own a part of this, or maybe even be able to buy a physical asset through something like an NFT or something on the blockchain in a very similar way. So yeah, excellent.
Yeah, I think the way that blockchain technology will kind of, I guess, make that accessible to everybody, but also like really fast. I really look forward to that. I'd love to see that happen with like homes and that kind of thing too. You know, you buy a house,
property sales and stuff like
kind
that.
of streamline that process a bit.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting too, because you buy expensive artwork like a Picasso, and they literally have a piece of paper that's like a paper version of what a NFT is. So it's not like it's an earth-shattering change. It's just doing it on blockchain instead of with a physical piece of paper that says,
Yeah,
"Oh, I own this now."
It kind of makes you think too, like from a regulation standpoint, like you're talking about, why is it achievable in 5 years or maybe even less? Is there's not really a huge difference. So like what the technology is doing is actually the same as what we currently do. So it could be easily kind of transferred. You know what I mean? Like the way we think about paper stuff feels like it's still a good fit for the electronic side. So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, your
People are
vision's probably right on the mark.
I don't want to hold you up too long. Thank you so much for coming on here. I know we're probably one of the more quirky podcasts you've probably been on since we're in the metaverse. But hopefully you consider coming back on in the future. As your product progresses, we'd love to have you back on and talk about the changes and that type of thing. And we're super, super, super gracious that you came on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Sure. My pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me over. Yeah, happy to come back and share more updates.
So I hope everybody enjoyed the interview we had with Velvet.Capital today. I can't thank them enough for coming on the show again. So we're pretty excited, and it sounds like they will be happy to come back and join us again sometime in the future. So we are looking forward to that. And with that, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it. So subscribe.
Yep. Hit follow. Please leave comments, and we'll catch you on the next one.